Hi, everyone, and thanks for joining us. I'm Josh.
And I'm Sarah.
And we are the Hiking Fools, guiding you through the trails of Glacier National Park. And today, we are talking about a terrific hike on the southeast portion of the park, in Two Medicine area. Popular with locals and is kind of an alternative to the main entrances on the west side of the park. A little less busy, but the secret is also getting out, so don't say anything. Two Medicine is a cool area. Sarah and I love it, and we've done a lot of climbing over there. But today, Two Medicine Pass is a terrific hike and a great place to get to. And along the way, Cobalt Lake is a terrific stop. And so we're going to talk about that, kind of tell you where you need to go and what you need to see. And so getting there, I've told you where it is. It's kind of the southeast portion of the park, Two Medicine. And getting there is there's a pretty gnarly road you have a couple of options actually, and it can take a little while. But it's once you get in there, it's gorgeous. And just a quick mention, in the wintertime, it's a great place to ski too. It's got terrific views of Two Medicine Lake and surrounding peaks. And there is a lower Two Medicine Lake and an upper Two Medicine Lake. And in this case, you kind of start at the boat dock at Two Medicine Lake.
I really love this part of the park because it has such a rich history in the Blackfeet culture. For thousands of years, this area has been sacred and spiritual to the Blackfeet Nation, and you kind of feel it when you're there. It's known for all the traditional ceremonies, vision quests, and it's kind of the identity of the Blackfeet. It's a land of many stories, if it could talk. So I feel that when I'm here, and so I think that's part of the reason why I really enjoy it.
Yeah, that's super cool. And you will notice that in most of the names of the features and peaks around Two Medicine. I mean, Rising Wolf Mountain and Sinapa and Painted Teepee and Chief Lodgepole. There's some terrific peaks that, have that history, and the origin in the names is pretty cool.
Yeah, definitely look that up. There's, you can Google it. There's also books out there, place names of Glacier Park. And we really enjoy kind of figuring that out too. So
yeah, dig in a little deeper. We're just kind of scratching the surface of what all that means. And so it's a great area. And I want to mention, we kind of breezed past it, but there's a little chain of lakes over here: Upper Two Medicine Lake, and Lower Two Medicine Lake. But it's interesting, in Glacier and in the mountains, I mean, a lower lake by name could be north of the actual lake, because we're not talking about, geography as much in the sense of direction as we are elevation. And so, when glaciers are melting and water is draining and these alpine lakes are being formed, the upper lakes are in the upper portion of that. And then you've got the regular Two Medicine Lake, and Lower Two Medicine Lake kind of goes off to the northeast. But the point is that they're draining from up above. And so the lower lake is just at the end of that chain.
Now this trail, if you're going all the way up to Two Medicine Pass, it's kind of a long day. So where you start is the boat dock, as you mentioned, stop in the camp store, fuel up, get the stuff you need. There's two ways you can get to Two Medicine Pass. You can shave 2 miles and get a reservation at the boat dock. You can do that online. You can do a walk up. It does fill up quickly, so I recommend doing that online. They leave at different times of the day pretty consistently, and you can also catch the boat coming back from the head of Two Medicine Lake. But if you don't do that, what's our stats, Josh? If you go one way or the other, elevation gain, what do we got? Yeah,
they're pretty similar. And Sarah mentioned it. You can cut off miles using the boat, the Sinapa, and it's a wonderful cruise too. You get a lot of information. But it's if you take the trail, the south shore of the lake, and start from the lower boat dock, it's 16 miles almost round trip to Two Medicine Pass and back, and 2,500 feet of elevation gain. So it's long and somewhat arduous, and you need to be ready for this. Anytime you hear, let's walk to a pass in Glacier Park, you're going to go up. We have other great shows on Gunsight Pass and Triple Divide Pass, and they're all pretty strenuous. But this one is, 60 miles is pretty long. Anything 15 plus is we would call strenuous, and 2,500 feet of elevation gain. The lake itself is at about 5,100 feet elevation, Two Medicine Lake, which is, I believe, the highest elevation lake in the park that you can drive to.
Yeah.
So it's a really neat place. And the pass itself is at about 7,600 feet. So those are your stats.
Yeah. And, you don't have to get all the way up to the pass. There's so many great things to see on this trail. I mean, if you decide to hike and not take the boat, you're not missing out because, both options are great, but you're hiking parallel with Two Medicine Lake for those first couple miles. And it is really, really good moose habitat. And I can't even, we've been on this trail so many times and I'm almost positive that there's been one time we have not seen a moose.
Right. It's almost every time.
Yes. Paradise Point's a great place to see moose. It kind of overlooks the lake a little bit, but there's a few marshy areas and viewing points to see them, and they kind of hang around in there. So it's great. And also, there's two falls that you pass. You have Astor Falls and you have Rockwell Falls. So take the time if you think you're not going to make it all the way. Check those out. It's great.
Yeah. Stop anywhere, go as far as you want, but just great little offshoots to kind of break up the trip and maybe take a short snack break. But great falls. Rockwell Falls is awesome. I mean, we've dipped in there when necessary, and it's just ice cold, but it feels great. There's a bunch of huckleberries on that hillside. Again, don't tell anybody, but it's a terrific spot. We were climbing Sinapa, the mountain, the peak. And this is kind of where you leave the trail. And it's a slog up, but we were totally refreshed coming down with a dip in the creek and some fresh huckleberries.
Yeah, we did that with our oldest son. And, going up, we had to stop and then coming down too, you're exhausted. And I just remember looking around and I see your head, 20 feet away. And then I see our oldest head somewhere else. And I'm sitting down too. So we all had found our own little spot, just like a bear would, just cry.
It's it's a cold spring, right? It's not a hot spring, but we're kind of sitting in those, and it was great. And just to mention again, we've got a family. We've got some younger boys. At this time, he was 13 and was able to make the climb with us. And we've also got a 6-year-old. And most of these trails, that's the point. I mean, you can do whatever you want. You can hit the falls, and that pleases the youngsters, and find a few berries, and that's just a great time. Or you can take on something more challenging. And so getting to the pass, Sarah, is a really cool spot to be. And you see some things along the way, and a big part of that is Cobalt Lake.
Yeah, in the section of the trail in the beginning when you're paralleling to Medicine Lake and approaching Rockwell Falls. So basically between Rockwell Falls and the trailhead, you even got some level spots, but it's kind of a gentle up and down. It's not too strenuous. It kind of starts to climb right after Rockwell Falls. That's where you can expect your elevation gain. But once you leave Rockwell Falls and start climbing up, it's really cool to see the view open up, and you can get a view of the upper portion of Rockwell Falls as you get up higher, and the falls are formed from draining out of Cobalt Lake. Yeah,
the trail, as you mentioned, kind of undulates among the ungulates.
We do sometimes see them.
Is that accurate?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. So that's, you don't have to remember that, but that's a good summary of the first 2 miles or so of this trail, 2 to 3. And Cobalt Lake, Sarah, I mean, it's simple, named for its gorgeous color. What else do we find at Cobalt Lake?
It's a cute little cirque lake that's kind of sheltered under the cliffs of Painted Teepee Peak. And I just think it's so cute. It's fabulous in color, obviously, the namesake. It's a cobalt blue, and there's often snow because it's so high in elevation that if you go there too early, which that has happened to me, I've gone up there and it's completely snow covered. There's almost always a little bit of snow kind of resting against the mountain there just above the lake. And that's kind of cool to see, the contrast between the blue water and the white snow and the berg that's kind of half in there.
Okay. Yeah. And at Cobalt Lake, there's, if you want to make a longer trip of it or you just feel like it, there's a couple of backcountry sites, just 2 to camp there at Cobalt Lake, and only 1 is reservable. So it's pretty remote, and it'd be pretty quiet, and be careful. It doesn't open a lot of times till later in the summer. In fact, the latest that I saw, it was open, August 1st this year. So you can't get there too early, as Sarah mentioned too. And, no fires there, and a 1-night limit on the high on season, July, August, September. So, but Cobalt Lake seems like it would be a pretty cool place to camp.
I really like when you're hiking along on this trail and you have Sinapa to your right. And when you look at it from the foot of the lake, from the boat dock, it just looks like this big triangle piece. But then when you're hiking along, it's this long mass.
Yeah, it is massive. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's super long. And so you kind of parallel that. And then as you start climbing up near Cobalt Lake, then you also get a different view of Painted Teepee Peak, which also gives you that same sense when you're looking at it back at the boat dock.
Yeah.
You know, it's this little pyramid, this teepee looking mountain, and it's actually much longer than what it is. And we've found that a lot with the many peaks in the park.
Right. You see the front side of it. And we are on our way, not even to Two Medicine Pass yet, but such a great hike. We have a lot to say. We'll take a short break. Stick with us. We've got another segment coming right up.
Whether you're hiking Avalanche Lake or conquering Mount Sa'i, you want to be prepared. Same goes for your money. Freedom Bank delivers peak performance banking with mobile tools, expert advice, and a personal touch. Freedom Bank is proud sponsor of Hiking Fools because adventures are better when your bank is as ready as you are. Freedom Bank, we want to be your bank. Give us a call at 892-1776. Member FDIC.
All right, welcome back. We are the Hiking Fools discussing a terrific hike to Two Medicine Pass in kind of the southeastern part of Glacier Park, and we love it. You know, we've done it a few times and made big time days out of it, big time summit days, and last year it was awesome. We nabbed 3 peaks in that area while on this hike, and it was I think our longest day hike ever, honestly, 23 and a half miles or something like that, with some great company, but it's just, you can't stop. I mean, you keep going, you get up even high and you see things all around you that you just want to check out more. And the peaks are massive and they're beautiful, and the Red Rock, and Sarah's already mentioned a couple of them, but yeah, what do we see?
Yeah, as Josh mentioned, you know, there's a ton of mountains around us, and I had mentioned too, like with any hike in Glacier, the higher you get, the more you can see. And so, yeah, Cobalt Lake actually, it sets at 6,597 feet, and the elevation gain to get up there is 1,564 feet. So it's up there at a good level, and that's why the snow sticks up. But
dang, it's that last 64 feet that is just a killer. 1,564.
I did want to mention too that there is a ton of water source on this hike. So being a big day, you're going to have to carry a good amount of food, and it stinks when you have to carry a ton of water. So you don't have to do that. Bring your filter. You got plenty of places where you can, the falls, and then you got Cobalt Lake. And there's a little bit of runoff coming down depending the time of year that you go, even coming off of the pass too. But your last place to filter, what I would do is do it at Cobalt Lake. And you get better views if you go down. You can't see it as well from the trail, but if you go down to those little campsites, you can see the lake a lot better.
Okay.
As you climb up higher towards the pass, it kind of opens up into more of a meadow. This is great moose habitat. We haven't seen a whole lot of bear in Two Medicine Valley, to be honest with you. No. We see a lot of moose. We see a lot of bighorn sheep and, deer, stuff like that, but definitely still be bear aware anywhere you're hiking in Glacier. But I love getting to the tail end of Sinapa just as you approach the pass, and you kind of get your first little views of Mount Rockwell. And then you kind of turn your back on Sinapa and Rockwell and face Grizzly Mountain, which is really cool. And you kind of make your way, towards the pass there. Once you're up there, you're kind of ridge walking in a way, and you kind of see down into different parts of the park that are really, really hard to get to. So
multi-day trips up and over, and take a look at a map. We're mentioning all these peaks, and they're all surrounding it, and you kind of get yourself a little bit better oriented where you are. And so it's super helpful to have the Nat Geo maps with you. But it's, once you get up to, you're almost to the pass, and there's all these tiny little, it's close to the ground fir trees, the subalpine fir, that you can tell they've been whipped around.
Oh, the wind up here. Yeah, we should definitely note that. This is rarely ever not windy in this area. And that comes along with most passes in Glacier, but this one specifically. So make sure you bring some sort of, buff to go over your ears, because that's kind of irritating when you constantly have wind for hours on end going through your ears. And then a windbreaker of some sort.
I just shake my head. I shake my head up and down. You look at me and yell something, and I just say, yeah. I don't know what you're saying at all.
Yeah, we do a lot of that.
But it's notoriously windy, and gusts up to hold on to something sometimes, hold on to each other. Up to 80 miles an hour gusts is what I've heard reported. And so be prepared for that. You do want the rain shell, the proper gear is important, and the, sort of windbreaker, some warmer layers underneath. And as Sarah mentioned, something on your head, on your ears.
And when you're leaving Cobalt Lake, it's about 2.3 miles up to the pass, and it's about 1,200 feet of elevation gain. So it's definitely strenuous, but stick with it. It's really worth it once you get up there. And I love when you make that final, I guess, S-curve turn, like where I had mentioned Sinopaz behind you, and you kind of are facing, Painted Teepee Peak and Grizzly, like that's your heading. And one of the easiest summits in the park, the Chief Lodgepole. So you literally hike, the trail goes over the summit of this mountain. If you, I don't know
blink,
why.
you might miss it, but you've summited.
You have, and actually, you drop in elevation a little bit to get to the official pass, but you don't have to go that far. I think the views at Chief Lodgepole are pretty awesome, and the trail continues. You could go deeper into the park if you wanted. If you're on a backpacking trip, there's several options. You've got the Upper Park Creek backcountry area. You have Lake Isabel that's further on.
Oh yeah, people love that. In fact, we saw a group when we were at the pass that was coming up from there, and we seemed luckier to not have the 40 to 50 pound pack. Imagine that being blown around and coming up some of those slopes.
The summit of Chief Lodgepole is 7,682 feet, and Two Medicine Pass is at 7,641 feet. And you're right on the Continental Divide when you're there. So that, explains a little bit of the wind too. Dang,
I feel like you say that a lot, and it is true. A lot of the trails in Glacier and in this area are on the Continental Divide. Imagine that. You're like on the ridge that separates east from west. It's so cool.
Yeah. I love looking at the bumpy summit of Grizzly Mountain from the pass there. It just looks so funny from that area, but a really, really cool mountain. And that's also a really fun climb. Kind of getting behind that, there's some spires on the summit there that you have to navigate around, which are really, really cool.
So we've got to, it's such a good hike. We've got to sort of go back to the beginning, Sarah, and just lay this out for folks that are listening to this. First of all, I do want to say also, Two Medicine is not a huge area. It's not a huge parking area. And the road in is not everybody travels it, but it gets congested. So pay attention. Each year is a little bit different in terms of what the park has going for entry, but be prepared to get to the entrance and be turned around. Sometimes there's a boat there. People have reservations for the boat. They take some priority. There's a lot of amenities including the Two Medicine Camp Store, and it's a great place to be, but it can be congested. So just understand that you're lucky, you're fortunate if you get into the Two Medicine area and are able to hike to Two Medicine Pass. And again, starts from, you can take the boat, cut off a couple of miles if you want, but it starts from the lower boat dock, the trail right there, the South Shore Trail, around the lake, and look for berries and look for moose, and it's really awesome. And then if you're going to the pass, it is a 16-mile round trip with 2,500 feet of elevation gain. So it's a tough hike. You can stop at two beautiful falls along the way, Rockwell and Astor Falls, and you can check out Cobalt Lake, and that could be your hike for the day too. That's a solid hike on its own.
And I just want to note, too, that if you don't decide to take the boat right away, you can actually get a ticket for the return boat. So if you want to start off on the trail because you don't want to miss, that glorious moose area, you can make sure you stop at the desk before you head out and get yourself a return ticket, and you can shave 2 miles coming back when you're exhausted.
Yeah,
so
that's
an option too.
See the boat coming. Yes, the boat. I see the boat.
Oh,
Let's
it's
get
such
on
a
the
glorious
boat.
sight.
Yeah. And that's kind of the summary, the roundup. Once you get to the pass, it's you can see so much of that eastern part of the park, and there are peaks to summit if you want to take it on. All the different types of scenery along the way, and we totally recommend this hike because it just provides almost all of what Glacier, has to offer. But we hope we've provided enough to get you interested, to get you excited. You got some of the stats, you get some of the direction, and maybe we'll see you there because we go quite a bit to this area. Check out our Instagram page at Hiking Fools MT to see some great photos from our recent adventures and maybe some back and historically a little bit like this one. And we just ask you to tune in next time. Check out more of our episodes online. And remember to follow us on Spotify, YouTube, or Apple Podcasts. We've got a ton of episodes about a ton of different hikes in Glacier National Park. I'm Josh.
And I'm Sarah.
And we are the Hiking Fools, encouraging you to always go.